D&D's new weapon mastery system has been officially revealed. Let's explore what impact it'll have in your future combats. The balance between casters and martial classes has long been a complaint about D&D's 5th edition rule set, and weapon mastery is being hailed as a key component to fixing that in the 2024 Player's Handbook. Every weapon in these new rules will have a single mastery property in addition to its regular properties that can be unlocked by certain martial classes with access to those weapons. Each of those classes will get access at level 1, and each of them can change out their limited chosen weapon masteries for others when they complete a long rest. Starting out, Barbarian gets access to 2 simple or martial melee weapons. Fighter gets access to any 3 weapons. Paladin and Ranger get access to any 2 weapons that they're proficient with, and Rogue will get any 2 weapons that they have proficiency with so long as they have the Finesse or Light property. Barbarians and Fighters will even gain access to more masteries as they level up, and some subclasses will grant additional mastery properties for specific weapons, like the Soul Knife Rogue that gets the Vex property for their Psychic Blades. The weapon masteries themselves can be activated every single time you make an attack with that weapon. There's no limit, so choosing your preferred weapon will no longer feel like the same damage over and over again with a slightly different flavor. We'll have access to some pretty significant battlefield control, extra damage, buffs, and debuffs that add a greater level of strategy as opposed to just swinging your sword multiple times per turn. And that opens the door for fresh new ways to combine these masteries with our other abilities for some truly interesting builds that don't always involve a spellcasting dip or something of the like. While it isn't fully clear which masteries will combo well with each class just yet, we can make some obvious assumptions based on what we saw in the playtests and what's been revealed thus far about the official handbook. I'll make sure to point that out as we go along so you can get a jump start on theory crafting with these 8 new weapon properties. Cleave weapons like the Glaive and the Halberd will slash through creatures when you hit with a melee weapon attack, affording you a second attack against a creature within 5 feet that is also within reach. That second attack will only add your ability modifier to the damage if it's negative, but this can still stack a ton of extra damage onto your opponents, if you find yourself and your enemies in the right position. In 5e, I might have dismissed this as a rather circumstantial ability, but with the inclusion of new rules for equipping and stowing weapons that we saw in the latest playtest, I think there are some big implications here. If this becomes the official ruling, this new change would allow you to equip or stow one weapon anytime you make an attack as part of the attack itself. This can happen before or after the attack in question, so we can effectively attack with multiple weapons in ways we couldn't before. So we could combo a cleave weapon with another weapon that has the push property, like a great club, pike, warhammer, or heavy crossbow, in order to get our enemies into the right spot. This push mastery allows you to push a creature up to 10 feet straight away from you when you land an attack, so long as the creature is large or smaller. Following this attack, one could stow the weapon as part of that attack, and then you could draw your cleave weapon as part of your next attack in order to dish out more damage. From there, your enemies are in a tricky spot. They can either stay put and take more cleaving attacks in the next round, or they can step away and provoke an opportunity attack that would see them getting cleaved anyway. Already, with just these 2 weapon masteries and the playtest rules for equipping weapons, we can see just how much strategy and flexibility we'll have for our martial characters now. And that's just the beginning. Weapons with the Graze mastery, like the Glaive and Greatsword, will allow us to damage creatures even when we miss our attacks, dealing our ability modifier for the attack instead. Combining this with classes and feats that give us lots of chances to attack, like the Fighter, can give us good, consistent damage, even against creatures with a high AC, resulting in a bit of a nightmare for enemies that are hoping to maintain concentration. For those of us looking to utilize some lighter weapons like the dagger, light hammer, sickle, or scimitar, the Nick property takes a swing at fixing dual wielding in D&D. Typically, when you wield 2 weapons with the light property, you get an extra attack as a bonus action when you attack with one as an action. The Nick mastery essentially frees up your bonus action in this exchange so that a rogue could conceivably disengage or hide, or any other class could drink a potion, because that's officially a bonus action too. But there's even more here than just a little convenience for wielding 2 daggers, because not all light weapons have the Nick property. The club has the slow property, which we'll cover in just a bit, and some other light weapons, like the hand crossbow, short sword, and hand axe, all have the Vex property. This weapon property grants you advantage on your next attack against a creature if you land an attack on them, setting up the rogue for a more consistent sneak attack, and other classes for more hits and crits in general. And keep in mind that some of these light weapons, like the aforementioned dagger, have the throne property too, so you don't even need to be up close and personal to your enemies to get these effects. You can also use Vex with weapons like the pistol, blowgun, rapier, shortbow, or dart, but those won't work with the Nick ability since they aren't light weapons, though I'm sure they'll still be plenty useful to classes that have more attacks per turn. I mean, who doesn't want advantage? By extension, let's chat about how you can use Weapon Mastery to give your enemies disadvantage with the Sap property. Weapons like the mace, spear, flail, longsword, morningstar, and warpick will give a creature disadvantage on their next attack roll before the start of your next turn when you hit them. In a game where the action economy against big baddies is often stacked in the player's favor, this mastery offers an extremely potent debuff that can even be used on multiple enemies at a time if you have more than one attack. This is one of my absolute favorites in the whole bunch. There's even some excellent teamwork potential here involving held actions across multiple members of the party to give a creature disadvantage on a particular attack or even all their attacks in a whole round. Though, admittedly, this might not be the best approach for a party at a higher level, it can be extremely effective early on, and Sap does scale really well for general use later against enemies that don't have much in the way of spellcasting. And if you're able to combine effects like that with other debuff masteries like Slow and Topple, the 1 D&D CR system might start looking about as wildly inaccurate as the 5e version. Weapons with the Slow property like the club, javelin, light crossbow, whip, longbow, and musket can, as you might imagine, reduce a creature's speed by 10 feet until the start of your next turn when you hit them and deal damage to them. Even though this effect doesn't stack, with someone in the backline firing shots to keep dangerous creatures away from the casters of the group, and someone else up front sapping their enemies into disadvantage on attacks against the tank, you'll be able to coordinate tough encounters into trivial ones, something that was really hard to do with martial characters alone in plain old 5e. Throw in the Topple mastery with weapons like the quarterstaff, battle axe, lance, maul, and trident, and your enemy could be stuck with even less movement and advantaged attacks from your friends in melee range. That said, it has been confirmed that being prone will still give disadvantage to ranged attack rolls, and you'll want to think about all the implications before you drop your enemies to the ground. Either way, it still evokes for me the imagery of a bunch of beefy barbarians standing around a prone baddie, assailing them with meaty hits over and over, all at advantage. And while these 8 weapon masteries alone offer a lot to martials at large, there may be yet even more fun for us than meets the eye. In the playtest material, we did also see that properties could be applied to other weapons via special features from your class and subclass within the bounds of certain prerequisites. Even if we do see some slight alterations here, I'm excited to see what combo potential the community discovers within the vast array of possibilities when applying masteries to other weapons. Let me know if you have anything I might have missed in the comments below, and make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more guides as new 1D&D rules come to light. Now, until next time, go out there and make some chaos.